Well, if you're looking for development, if you're looking for an experience, well, it's all happening on Fremont Street. And with me is Alex Epstein from the El Cortez Hotel. And a little bit later on in the show, Jeff Victor from the Fremont Street Experience is going to come join us. And we're going to talk about downtown. If you haven't been there, you really owe it to yourself to take a look. Now, the El Cortez, Alex, we were talking before the show. I hadn't been there for nearly 30 years. It's an institution in great, history in Las Vegas, and you're remaking it. You're helping remake it. I mean, it's like the next generation comes in and remakes it. What kind of changes have occurred at the El Cortez?
Well, there's a long list of changes that I could go into. I think that for us, thank you for recognizing that we're a 71-year-old institution. I think that it was really important for us to kind of be adaptable and participate in all the changes that are happening naturally and organically around us. As you know, East Fremont is booming, downtown is booming, and so many things are happening to change it. And I don't think that we would have survived if we were not changing with it. So some of the things that we did were physically improving the entire building, whether it is painting the exterior, which was the first time we had painted it in about 30 years. It was due for a paint job.
You had that old, rustic look before.
It was very rustic. Rustic is a very nice way to put it. We replaced all the carpeting, all the surfaces in the entire casino, replaced the air filtration system, renovated all the rooms, renovated all the restrooms, all the restaurants. A big thing that was important to us is just generally rebranding and repurposing the entire casino, because after 70 years of wear and tear, it kind of took a toll.
Yeah, I mean, even in the old days, the El Cortez was known for having great food.
Yes.
And when Jackie and Michael Gone and your dad Kenny Epstein were all involved in that. I mean, anything they've done has always been centered around good food.
That's right.
And but you brought some new talent in, right?
We did. Well, if you know the Gons and if you know our family, you know that we're big foodies. We care very much about food. And so it was very important to us to have the best quality food at the best value downtown. And so we brought in John Civitello as our food and beverage director. He has a great history behind him at the MGM, at Stations Properties, and he overhauled our entire food and beverage program, and he did an excellent job. He brought in the freshest produce, freshest menu items, freshest ingredients. We don't freeze anything, and the way he is able to price it is really incredible. And we have great cooking staff, and just everything we offer is outstanding.
Right. Wonderful steakhouse. And you still have shrimp cocktails?
We do have shrimp cocktail. In our coffee shop, we're really known for our matzo ball soup, which is the best matzo ball soup in town. A great burger, great classics, kind of staple menu items that you want to find. We don't make it. We make it better than anywhere else.
Now, the one thing that's always been consistent, and you've taken great pride down there in what you call the loosest slots.
Yes.
How do you know that?
It's verified, actually. We do know that. So there are institutions in town that actually track how loose certain properties' slot machines are, and we work very hard to keep our hold at a very low percentage. I'm not even going to tell you how low it is, but that makes it better and easier for customers to win money, and their money is going to last a lot longer at the El Cortez. So we have verified numbers to where the El Cortez is looser than all the strip properties, 40% looser in fact, and in the Clark County average, the El Cortez is over 32% looser than the Clark County average as well. So when you're coming or looking for value as a gambler, you're going to find that here.
And what is the thought behind that? That if somebody is winning more money or losing, or being able to stay longer playing slots, or money lasts longer, then they're going to go get a hamburger and stay on the premises, participate in the entertainment, and just become more of a well-rounded customer.
Exactly. I think that for us, a big part of what we want to encourage is loyalty, not only as a gaming customer, but just as a partaker in all things El Cortez. Really, it's a family-run business. We really treat our customers like family, and we want them to feel like they're at home while they're at the El Cortez. So by being able to have whatever their budget is last a little bit longer, we hope that they're going to stick around longer, know our employees, eat in our restaurants. They don't even have to eat in the restaurants. We have room service for players. So anybody who's playing at any machine or at any table game, you can order food up right next to you. So you don't have to.
You
leave
don't
the
want them
machine.
to leave the machine, right?
If you don't
Yeah.
want to, you don't have to.
Okay, here's my trick question.
Yes.
How did they get the name El Cortez?
You know, it's been around since 1941. We were opened as the El Cortez, and we've stayed the El Cortez, and we've never been anything else. Cortez, as you know, is an explorer, a Spanish explorer, and I think that the explorer theme was something that we have a strong explorer heritage.
Right?
Oh yeah,
in
absolutely.
the hotel, you had that Spanish
Buccaneer. We had a Buccaneer bar, Spanish explorers, ships. I think something that was really timely was being a pioneer, coming out, being an explorer, and staking a claim in the middle of the desert. And so they identified very strongly with Cortez.
Oftentimes, many hotels in town, particularly some of the downtown hotels, have rebranded themselves, changed their names, came up with the philosophy, hey, we need to start over, start fresh,
right,
and get a new image. Why did the El Cortez choose not to do that?
Several reasons. I think that El Cortez is a gem. I think it's something that's really unique to Las Vegas, something that's lasted throughout the years. And to us, that's an asset. And our history, and the El Cortez is a small property. We have 364 rooms. We have 3 restaurants. We have a pretty small floor. We don't have a huge shopping experience. We don't have movie theaters or a Shark Tank. But what we do have is our history. And so that was really important to cultivate that and to really honor that. We have an amazing neighborhood that we showcase and we engage with on a regular basis. We have amazing value, which we advertise, and we have amazing, atmosphere in terms of family-run environment, and really treating our customers like family. So being one of those 4 core values that we had, our history was really important. We never really wanted to change that. We wanted to honor that.
Is it a challenge to get suburbanites down to the El Cortez?
It was a challenge, absolutely, especially considering what the perception was of downtown and of the El Cortez several years ago. At this point, we're having so many events, and the whole perception of downtown Las Vegas is changing so much that we're seeing more and more suburbanites every day, whether they're coming down to see a show at the Smith Center and they have dinner at the Flame Steakhouse beforehand or afterwards, or if they have a drink at the Parlor Bar after a show. We're seeing more and more people coming from all over the valley.
You grew up here, and
Yes.
then you left, went away to school in New York, right?
Yes.
Columbia University, great school, very urban area. What brought you back to Las Vegas?
Las Vegas is always home. I've been able to live in Los Angeles. I've lived in New York, some of the greatest urban cities in the world, and nothing really ever felt as exciting or seemed to have as much opportunity as Las Vegas. And I'm a second-generation Las Vegan. My family's been here for a long, long time, and I felt like it was a really exciting opportunity to come into a city and have any kind of impact whatsoever. And to me, there's just nowhere else like Las Vegas, and nowhere else where I'd be able to do quite as much as here.
I've had an office downtown in Las Vegas for 35 years. And for 35 years, city leaders have been trying to urbanize downtown Las Vegas.
Right.
For years, they talked about creating it in the same kind of mode as downtown San Diego.
Right.
And it just seemed like nothing was happening.
Right.
And we had committees, we had groups, studies, but it has, in the last 2 or 3 years, really changed.
And I think that's really an interesting study on urban renewal and urban growth. I think it's to be said that it can't be forced. I think it's more of an organic process, so there has to be a demand for it, and it can't be forced upon a town. And I think that at this point, and especially in 2006 through 2008, a lot of people were realizing that they were going to be in Las Vegas for a long time. They weren't going to be able to strike it rich, of course, and when things happened with the economy, excuse me, people were realizing that they were going to have to invest in what was going to end up being their town. So I think the city in general started focusing on locals and opportunities for locals in an urban core, and the locals themselves started demanding that, and people started coming downtown more naturally. More opportunities started rising downtown, and it's really been interesting to see the locals demand it rather than city government force it upon the locals.
And one of the things that they attempted to do was create a residential downtown.
Right.
They built a lot of condos and high-rises. most of which haven't really done as well as expected. Do you anticipate that changing, or?
I would say that it didn't do as well up until about a year and a half ago, and I think that things changed, whether it was, the Zappos move and Tony Hsieh's announcement of Zappos moving to downtown, that was a huge changing and shifting point. And actually, all of those buildings have since become fully occupied. The Ogden, which is directly across the street from the El Cortez, they were 100% occupied within a year of announcing that they were going to be opening as apartments. Soho and Newport Lofts are also 100% occupied. So I think now at this point, there really is a huge excitement for living downtown.
And if those residents want to come to the El Cortez to get a drink, you make them very special there.
Oh, very special, handcrafted, actually.
And I never really understood the term before.
Yes.
What does handcrafted mean?
Handcrafted is really just a way of saying there's a little bit more love and care put into how you make a drink. So, it's comparable to saying something is homemade rather than prepared ahead of time. Rather than spending a minute and a half preparing a drink and tossing it off or passing it down the bar, it's a
So you don't prepare like the pina colada mix in advance?
Not at all. We don't offer any mixes or any smoothies or frozen drinks.
So they make it from scratch?
It's all made from scratch.
And it probably creates a better tasting drink, I would think.
Absolutely. It tastes better. It's not diluted. You know that you're getting an authentic cocktail the way it's supposed to be made.
Right. If somebody wants a little bit more coconut or pineapple, they can make the adjustments.
Exactly.
So is that a big draw?
It is. It is. I think especially now, it's a big thing all across the nation. Our handcrafted cocktails, mixology. It's kind of a trend at the moment, a return to authentic cocktails, and I think that it's something that's really big, especially downtown between Vanguard and Downtown Cocktail Room. I think people are demanding and expecting that.
And the Vanguard, is that, and the Parlor, is that the name of your?
Yes, ours is the Parlor.
Yours is the Parlor.
Yes.
So you have these really contemporary, kind of hip bars opening up at the El Cortez and all around that East Fremont Street corridor.
Yes, absolutely. Although ours is not as contemporary as you'd expect. You walk in and you don't know if it's been there for 70 years or if it is new. We have plush leather chairs, velvet curtains. It's a really cool, it's a very, very cool lounge space.
How do you deal with the neighboring businesses? On one hand, you're competing with them, and on the other hand, you're kind of all in this together and trying to capture a market and bring people into a market.
I think for downtown is really another reason why I love downtown Las Vegas is how collaborative we really are. We're all in this together, and you hit it on the head. We want every other property downtown to thrive because what's good for downtown as a whole is going to end up being good for the El Cortez. And whether it is another casino property thriving or whether it's a small business or a residential tower that's becoming fully occupied, the better that downtown does, the better it's going to be for the El Cortez.
Well, with your energy, I'm sure you're going to get a lot of attention down there.
I hope so.
We have Jeff Victor from the Fremont Street Experience. I'm going to ask him to pull up a chair and continue this conversation.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll be right back after this message.
To win at the racetrack, you need luck. To win at the casinos, you need luck. To win a case, you need experience, dedication, and know-how. Ed Bernstein and Associates won a $104 million verdict. Enough said. Call Ed.
Call me. We're back talking about all the excitement in downtown. We're talking with Alex about East Fremont Street. Well, I'm not going to call it West Fremont Street, but I'll call it the Fremont Street Experience. Right across, actually one street separates the east and the west, right? Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yeah.
Right. And the Fremont Street Experience is very well known. You've done a great job with the canopies, but more importantly, if somebody hasn't been there in the last 3 years, they would be amazed at the amount of traffic, foot traffic, people, events.
Yeah.
How did that transition happen?
I started with the company about 6 years ago, and I thought there was a void in entertainment. And prior to this job, I was the president of an entertainment company, and so I just thought there was an opportunity there to add more activity and energy and give it that life, and that people would respond. And so that's what we've been working on for the last 6 years. And the momentum has been tremendous. And you're right, I think people would be very shocked that you can't just walk down the street. You have to weave your way through the crowd.
Well, it's as crowded as the Las Vegas Boulevard outside of the Flamingo area. You know,
Yeah.
is it like 60,000 people a day or something pass in these areas?
Yeah, the LVCVA tracks visitation to downtown, and we've averaged about 16 million visitors a year over the last 5 years, which is a number that is consistent with something you'd see at Disneyland, California. I mean, it's a massive number of people.
Let's talk about the entertainment. You have zip lines going over the top.
Right.
You have stages and bands performing at different places, under the canopy.
Right.
Right. You have a summer concert series. You have lights. You have people in dress as characters, which, I got to admit, it's a fun thing.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing, and it's particularly when you want to bring kids.
Well, we have 3 different stages, and we keep those active nightly. And then in between, all through the year, but in particular during the summer, every other weekend or so, we have a headliner concert, and that's usually under an umbrella theme. This year, it's under kind of heavy metal, rock and roll, classic rock and roll. And so we've already had Vince Neil and Dennis DeYoung of Styx, and my gosh, Asia, and throughout the summer we're going to have Bret Michaels and Dee Snider of Twisted Sister and Warrant and Skid Row, and the list goes on and on. But it's a fun series, and about 12,000 people come out for those concerts on those nights. And you talk about the other forms of entertainment, including the zip line. There's an energy that brings. And the strolling entertainers that are out there, those folks don't work for us, but they do add a little bit of a flair.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the positive and the negative. I mean, if you have, because they don't work for you, but therefore you're not responsible for them, but you need to keep everybody entertaining appropriately down there. Explain the zip line for people who don't know what that is.
Sure. Well, zip lines have been around for a while, and we partnered up a couple years ago with the folks that have the zip line out in Boulder City, and we brought it out of the woods and out of the hills and put it in an urban setting, and it's quite unique in that regard. And being able to fly under that very unusual and one-of-a-kind canopy and over the heads of a crowd is something you don't get anywhere else. So.
And how high is the zip line?
They take off right now at about 65 feet above the ground.
But it's a quick ride. So it's
It
fun,
is.
quick.
It's an impulse buy. Unlike if you go to Hawaii or somewhere and you want to do a zip line, it's usually $150, $250 to ride that, and it takes several hours. It's a serious commitment. This is not that. This is an impulse buy for $20, and you can look at it and say, I want to do that, and go do it.
and you can hear the people screaming and yelling and laughing. It's
right outside my office window all day.
And was it difficult to get this quality of entertainers to convince them to come down to Fremont Street?
No, not at all. Fremont Street opened December of 1995, and we have a long tradition of offering free concerts, and the list of bands that have played on that street are pretty amazing.
So how does East Fremont Street and Fremont Street Experience work together?
Well, we're neighbors. We eat lunch together, and we see each other, during meetings and after work. And I live right down at the Ogden, and so I'm frequenting the El Cortez all the time. And so I think I come at it from a personal approach like that because that's the way we do business with each other. Fremont Street Experience actually provides security and cleanliness services for Fremont East. As part of our relationship and our desire to see Fremont East, grow and the rest of downtown grow and do well.
Since you've moved into the Ogden, what has been the difference of experience for you living downtown? Where did you live before?
I was out in Henderson and Seven Hills.
Okay. I mean, that's a big change, going from Seven Hills to living at the Ogden downtown.
I think the biggest surprise for me is the sense of community that you think you're going to miss when you move out of the suburbs and into an urban environment.
The sense of community, like I'm sure you didn't know your neighbors in Southern Hills.
Well, that's just my point.
Seven Hills.
Yeah, that's my point. Is the sense of community downtown is far deeper and richer for me than it is in the suburbs, where you get in your car to go to the store, to go out to eat, or to go to work. Downtown is just the opposite. You bump into your neighbors and the people that you do business with on a regular basis, and it's quite gregarious and fun.
Do a lot of walking?
Yeah.
Some biking?
I haven't gotten into biking yet. I need to do that.
What about, I mean, some of the criticism about downtown, either you could answer this, is, there's no supermarkets, there's no Home Depot, that type of thing, those kind of services.
Well, I'll start. I mean, yeah, I'd like to see more grocery stores downtown. That's a thing. I go to the farmers market sometimes at Springs Preserve on Thursday and Friday right downtown, and then I go to Resnick's to get some things. But yeah, if you're gonna need some big grocery list items, you need to either do like Vons.com, or you have to go out and get in your car and drive down the street.
Well, they'll deliver though, right?
They do, yeah.
And when is the farmers market?
Fridays, it's
9 to 2 every
yeah.
Friday.
Where's that?
That's on downtown 3rd, which is by the old bus depot on Ogden and 3rd Street. And it's a great farmers market. They have an amazing selection of produce. Seth Shore has done a great job of kind of curating this wonderful farmers market to come downtown on a weekly basis. Yep. It's great.
Oh.
Yeah. And additionally, there's a grocery store opening at the old White Cross Drugs. So that's a downtown staple that is now going to be becoming a grocery store, which will be great.
Because there was a grocery store next door to that for years, right?
Yes, yeah. And now it's coming back in, which should help draw some more residents.
How do you visualize Las Vegas Boulevard downtown looking in over the next 5 years? I mean, you mentioned the old White Cross Drugs, which is out by Oakey in that area, Las Vegas Boulevard, and it's kind of a very tenuous area between there and Fremont Street.
Well, you've been here longer than I have, so why don't you take a shot at that?
I think that it's going to continue to evolve, certainly. I'm aware personally of several businesses who have either written LOIs or have really begun the process of trying to move their businesses into either a location on Las Vegas Boulevard, north of Oakey, or somewhere close on one of the side streets close to Las Vegas Boulevard. And I think, again, like I said earlier, it's a really organic process. I think that it's nothing that can be forced. I think that slowly and gradually people are catching wind of everything that's happening, and so they're either going to want to live down here or move their businesses down here or do both, and from then on out more and more businesses are going to continue to open. I think it's something that is exciting, and the fact that it's really just happening naturally without any outside pressure.
Yeah, it seems that there's some boutiques that are opening up, and they have that whole little art district, but do we have a specific art district downtown, or is it because it seems to be hodgepodge in a lot of different places?
Yeah, I think it feels like that because the RDA actually has a master plan that shows these different districts, and there is a very specific district for the arts. But I think it's the space in between that district and the next district that is causing that feel of lack of planning But I think part of that is the fun in it. I mean, the organic growth that we talk about, that's the exciting thing, is when you're sitting and talking to your neighbors and potential investors about what it can be. It's very, very exciting.
How do you see Fremont Street Experience changing in the next couple of years, going forward?
Yeah, I think you see investment right now happening in the existing casinos, and you see investment happening in what was the Lady Luck. And so I think the properties themselves are going to continue to evolve. The Plaza did a very nice job with its renovation. The Golden Gate just expanded and just did a renovation. And as the oldest casino in Las Vegas, it's amazing to go in there now and see what it's become. The El Cortez, of course, has done a wonderful job. The Fitzgerald's has just been repurchased and is being rebranded and redesigned into the D. And the plans that I've seen for that are quite exciting, and I think you're going to continue to see that. What we do out on the street, I think we'll continue with entertainment. I think we've done a lot to evolve what the canopy is and how it performs and how it interacts with the crowd. We will be expanding the zip line. We'll be making that a permanent structure, and there'll be 2 levels. So you'll take off from the 65-foot level, and then you'll take off from 105 feet. And go all the way down to Main Street, and so that'll be happening in the next year.
So you have the choice of the
You'll have
longer
your
or the
choice.
shorter?
Yeah.
So you'll be zipping a lot more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been very successful, I understand.
Yes.
The street characters you mentioned.
Yeah.
You have, for viewers who don't know what that is, there's people dressed up as Star Trek characters, as cartoon characters, as Disney characters, as rock stars, Michael Jackson, Kiss, etc. And they're available. They kind of mingle around the street and get photographed with people, right? And
Right.
what, are you supposed to tip them? Is that how that works?
You know, that same phenomenon exists on the Strip. It exists in cities all around the country, and it exists on Fremont Street. I think when they're done well, it's a fabulous addition. When they're not done well, I wish there was some way we could change that. It's a protected position through the ACLU and the Ninth Circuit. They've lobbied that that's freedom of speech, and
Right.
so we do what we can to work with them and try and help them, you know, be a good asset to the street.
And how have the two of you worked with the homeless that were downtown, and trying to work through that problem, and at the same time be sensitive to those people?
Yeah, I mean, that again exists in every city,
Yeah.
and you do feel a sense of responsibility, and both for the homeless and for the visitors that are coming downtown, and so it's a balance.
Mm-hmm. And Metro is, I guess, has been a big factor in keeping downtown safe and
Yep.
clean.
Yeah.
We have a great downtown area of command, and we have a really concentrated force of Metro officers that are patrolling the area on a regular basis, and whether it's looking out for people who need assistance or visitors who are needing assistance, I think that our downtown officers do a great job, and especially with regards to the homelessness in the area.
Well, thank you very much, Alex. Jeff, thank you. And if you're looking for something to do tonight, hey, why not go to El Cortez,
That's
have
right.
a little steak, and then walk up and down the Fremont Street Experience, maybe even try to zip line.
There you
Who
go.
knows? You could have a great time, and some great music down there. So we'll see you next week. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Alex.
Be sure to visit us online for more information about today's guests. To see past shows or even contacting us about being on the show, simply go to theedbernsteinshow.com. That's theedbernsteinshow.com.